Hi, Jim McGregor here with another TIRIAS cast. I'm here at the Future of Memory and Storage Conference. Used to be the Flash Memory
Summit.
So yeah, it's
for many years. It's very confusing.
It's very confusing. And I'm here with Jeremy Werner, who is the Senior Vice President and General Manager of the Core Data Center Business Unit at Micron Technology. So, Jeremy, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you, Jim. Great to be here.
I loved your presentation. And it seems like a lot of the key themes here at FMS are kind of really fit in with Micron's strategy.
Sure.
I mean, the one thing we've heard is power, power, power. You know, I don't think anybody really was that concerned about how much power memory and storage really occupied or took up, especially in the data center in the past. Now they do.
Right.
And you guys have some incredible stats.
Yeah, we do.
So you want to tell me a little bit about what those are?
Sure. So I think power is a theme that's coming out because of the bottlenecks in the data center build out, right? And if you think about my data center's power limited, that's going to be my first bottleneck. I can do anything except the amount of power that I have is a limited quantity. Then at the end of the day, you want to put as much of that power as you possibly can to productive use. And memory and storage, they hold the data, they help move it around, but at the end of the day, they feed the GPUs to do the computational work. And so power really can add significant value in the form of freeing up more of that power budget to be used for computation as opposed to moving or storing data. And some of our products, that's what we've put a lot of time and effort into reducing the power consumption of our products. So one of the key highlights that we announced was our HBM3E used 30% less power than competitors.
That is incredible. That is an incredible stat. And I know that that also is true for a lot of your storage products.
That is true. That is true. So we just announced our Gen 6 9650 SSD. It's the first Gen 6 NVMe or Gen 6 PCIe NVMe SSD in the industry. And what this drive is capable of is delivering 37% better energy efficiency than the prior generation of product.
And that's not just through architecture, but that's also through performance. It is the fastest SSD on the market now.
It's a little bit of, it's energy efficiency. So if you get someone who does twice the amount of work and only eats 20% more food than one person,
that's a good thing.
You're getting a lot more work per meal.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're delivering, yeah.
Well, and one of the other key themes here, and this came through loud and clear through your presentation and some of the other presentations at the show, was the fact that AI isn't a single workload. It is a pipeline of workloads, and each part of that pipeline requires a different type of storage solution. And you guys introduced not one, but 3 different storage solutions, the 6600, the 7600, and the 9650. So can you kind of talk about, those 4 stages of the pipeline and how those 3 products fit in there?
I think it's always been the case that there's a lot of different workloads. And one of the core philosophies that we have at Micron, and one of my kind of personal core philosophies, is if you want to provide value to your customers, and you need to understand what's important to them. And in order to understand what's important to them, you need to understand what they're actually doing, and try to speak their language and build products that are better for them. So when it comes to the AI pipeline, we talked about a number of different stages: capturing data, and then in the data center, ingesting that data into large servers. Once it's ingested, with the capacity needs of that data, drive very large data center SSDs. And so we announced a 122 terabyte drive in an E3S form factor. It's about the size of a deck of cards. We announced a 245 terabyte drive in a slightly larger form factor called E3L. And with the E3S, we said we could actually enable 88 petabytes in a single rack of storage. And with the 245 E3L that's coming up, over 140 petabytes in a single rack. So
that's incredible.
That's a lot of data coming into the ingest portion of the pipeline. After the data comes in, then you want to transform it, make it useful for training and inference, which are coming later. And in the transformation stage, it's a lot of transactions happening in and out of memory because data is being piped into the compute, out, transformed, cleaned, labeled, deduplicated. And so in that stage, it's very memory intensive. And we have a product called MRDIMM, which allows for 8,800 megatransfer per second performance versus traditional RDIMM, which is 6,400. And what we were able to show was there's a software application called Apache, and Apache is used for data transformation in the AI pipeline by a lot of users. And we showed 70% improvement in performance when you use this MRDIMM technology. So really insane improvement from going to a faster memory. And in that stage, we also announced our 7600 mainstream SSD, which we showed some benchmarks on RocksDB, and we were getting upwards of 70% in performance improvements and energy improvements. So that's a kind of mainstream database application. And then you move on to the very extreme stages, the stuff that gets really all the press, which is the training and then inference. And both of those stages are insanely challenging in terms of the amount of GPU power petaflops that are used for them. And in those stages, they require maximum capacity, maximum performance, maximum latency, maximum IOPS, maximum power efficiency, both of the memory, HBM 3E used on the GB300 or the Grace Blackwell Ultra super chip. The SOCAMs, which is a super cool technology, which brings LPDDR5X, which is a lower power DRAM than traditionally used, into a modular form and enables it to be liquid cooled as part of the super chip architecture. So with that SOCAM integrated, you actually get 2.5 times the performance at 1/3 the power and 1/3 the footprint when comparing to an RDIMM. So pretty insane integration of a more effective solution. And we're talking about power.
Yeah.
And then we also introduced what is maybe the highlight for us, which was the Gen 6 NVMe drive, our 9650. And so that is the world's fastest drive we were talking about, which delivers 5.5 million IOPS and up to 28 gigabytes per second of bandwidth.
That, and I like the fact that you talked about not just the SSDs, but you talked about the memory and everything else. I really hate the fact that we keep calling it memory and storage.
Yeah.
Because it really is a single subsystem now. Right. And it's a critical subsystem. AI doesn't exist without the data.
That's right.
And so what is the best term in your mind? Is it the data layer? Is it data pipeline? Is it what should we call this?
Oh, wow. That's a tough question. I haven't put enough thought into that. I'm going to have to consult ChatGPT, I think, to get the right answer.
How about the Micron accelerator? No.
Yeah. I don't know what to call it, but I'll tell you this. Whatever your needs are when you have data, Micron's got the right products for you.
Well, and it's important to note that you're also already shipping out HBM4 for future applications. And there was even discussion here about changes in that architecture with HBM4E, going to in-memory compute and having customized solutions.
Yeah.
So this is all changing very, very rapidly.
There is.
I keep telling people that memory is no longer a commodity, especially at these high performance levels.
Well, and I think HBM is a great example, and it shows that execution and design decisions can make a huge difference in terms of the product, the reliability of the product, the power consumption of the product, and ultimately what performance you're actually able to get out of the integrated solution. Because, for example, HBM is sitting right next to the GPU.
Yes.
It needs to be cooled, the whole solution together. If your HBM takes too much power, then you need to run your GPU slower to be able to cool everything together. So if your HBM takes less power, then you can apply more thermal budget to your GPU. So it all works together in that sense.
So no, very good point.
Yeah.
We tend to think of chiplets as everything going into a single package and individual die, but these are like the skyscraper of chiplets, essentially, as we're looking at. Even the latest NVIDIA solutions are multiple die. So huge challenge in terms of manufacturing these going forward.
Very complex, and it's exciting, all the innovation, and I think we're right at the heart of it.
That's great. Jeremy, congratulations on the product launches and on the great keynote presentation here at the show.
That was fun.
And I look forward to talking to you in the future about all these things and how things develop. So
Me too. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.